Hey friends, we're back, and I'm so excited to be back have with another episode. I always get so excited, and I look forward to Indira coming over, and we're sitting down. We talk about what we're going to do, and we sit down and we record. And um, I'm always so excited that you guys are listening. And yeah, just wanted to throw this out there real quick.
Me
And
too. Because we also have like a
me too,
counseling session before. Like we
for
talk
real.
about, and it's weird because, well, I'm neurodivergent. So, which means that my brain can like starts processing multiple things at the same time.
Hmm.
So while we're talking about the show, I'm also giving your dog stuffed animals.
That's true.
And then we go back and we visit the show for a minute, and then I start grieving my dog who I lost like a year and a half ago, and then we go back to the
Yeah.
show, and there's no real structure.
But that's okay though.
It works because spirit
It,
actually
it
runs
works for
this.
us. Yes, we'll
Yeah,
just do what they say anyway.
exactly. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Well, do you want to do your quick
I do.
grounding
Yeah.
thing?
I don't know where they're going to lead us today
Hmm.
with the opening prayer meditation thing, but I just invite everyone to, if it is safe for you to do so, close down your eyes and just take that deep breath coming into this moment. Oh, we are going to talk about why getting centered and grounded and doing some contemplative meditation is important. That's where they're leading us. So, in each moment, we have the ability to show up in ego or show up as spirit in each and every moment. And ego is not always a bad thing. Ego, its entire structure is to keep us safe. It is the filing systems of all the dangers and all of the perceived dangers and threats that we have. However, it's not always appropriate to come from that place of ego. And so, what helps us connect to spirit is connection to our breath and that quiet meditative time where you just close down your eyes and you move into your heart center. Because it is the heart that is deeply connected to spirit. And this is a practice. Our beloved Noah Brown taught us this a few weeks ago, that if you want to develop your psychic skills, the very first thing that you do is meditation. Move into the silence. And I've learned, there's a way to strengthen your meditation, and that is through contemplation. And so, what you do to do contemplation, which will truly strengthen the meditation portion, is to get a single line of an inspirational message. It can be from your favorite holy book, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, any of the teachings of the Dharma of Buddhism, any of the teachings of Sikhism, or you can use a teaching from a beloved teacher, Marianne Williamson, the Mahatma, Mohandas Gandhi, or even Thich Nhat Hanh. And you put it in front of you and you read it to yourself, and then you close down your eyes and you allow that inspirational thought to move through your heart and your mind back and forth until it helps you uncover what that means for you in this moment. This one thought, this one teaching allows you to move into the silence, which then strengthens your meditation muscle. And so, as you are moving into a time of learning with us today, because we are going to give you a glossary of terms with definitions and examples from our own lives, we invite you to take each one in. Perhaps listen when you are sitting down. You can turn off the outer world and move into the inner world, especially if this is something you're wanting to learn to do, to open Akashic records, to be a medium, to learn to practice tarot and oracle. And so for this time, for this purpose, we join our hearts and our minds and our breaths together. And we stay in this contemplative place, allowing our hearts and our minds to work together to determine if this is part of our path or if this is something that we're intrigued by but not interested in doing. And allowing Spirit to guide us, direct us, and then we follow with action. So now we move into this time together, this time of learning, this time of sharing, this time of laughter, this time of joy, and this time of connection. And so it is.
Yes, amen.
Never know what they're going to say.
Never know. It's always good, though.
They're very brilliant. And we're going to talk about they because
they, them.
yeah.
Yes, I say that a lot, even to my clients when I do readings. I always like, they want to talk about this, and they mention this, and it just recently occurred to me. Even yesterday, I was at an event, as you know, and
Uh-huh.
and I did a whole lot of readings, and I always say they, and I'm like, maybe I need to explain who they are, because it
I
never
wrote
occurred
it
to
down.
me that, for me it's normal, but for them, maybe it's not, and they just don't want to say anything because they don't want to, be,
Right.
I don't know. So,
I wrote
and
they down earlier, just so you know.
yes,
Right as
yes.
you were opening, I'm like, ooh.
Oh, really?
I
Yes.
did. Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I think that's really the topic today. I think we're going to go over a few terms, and well, not a few terms, I guess. I'll let you explain how we got to
How we
this
got here.
place, to this point.
So to tell, I kind of I gave a little foreshadowing at the beginning. I told you that I told everyone I brought
Mm-hmm.
stuffies. So the short version, because there's many versions that I can tell of this. The short version is that I am getting ready to move in the next couple months, and I'm really trying to downsize. And certain things just have been very difficult for me to deal with. And the loss of my beloved Alexander, who was my puppy, who was not a puppy, he was 12 years old, last year, was very hard on me. And he was this sweet, gentle guy who I interestingly called Booby, and Booby is Yiddish for grandma. So it's a miracle he didn't poop in my shoe. In all the years we were together. But he was just this loving companion for 12 years. And he loved stuffed animals more than anything. And he did not destroy them. Now, Mia, his sister, absolutely destroyed them. And I felt weird about throwing away the carcass once she had destuffed it. So, as you know, I brought carcasses over today too.
Yes, she
So,
did, actually.
I did.
She brings me the skins of the toy.
I did. It's a little creepy. But I had gone to pick some stuff up from where I was storing some of my stuff, and I, had these 2 trash bags full of blankets and stuffies and a toy box and all of that from my time with Alexander. And I called husband number 2 and was like, "Hey, do your dogs need anything? I've got some of the blankets that he had gifted me way back when I got Alexander and Mia. So they're like 14 years old, stuff that his mom had made. And I had, but do they need stuffies? Do they need anything?" And he's like, "No, they're good." He's like, "Why don't you donate them someplace that, dogs could use them?" And it got me thinking that I wanted to bring them here for your dogs, because then I get to watch them
Yeah.
enjoy Alexander stuff. And I don't care if they de-stuff them and you end up with a bunch of skins,
And they will.
carcasses,
Yeah.
and they will. I'm fairly certain one of them absolutely will. And so he and I got to talking. Just we check on each other periodically. It's not very often,
Mhm.
because he's a really good egg, and so I was like, "So how are things?" And just so everyone knows, he has a girlfriend and she listens, and I love her to 2 pieces. Her name is Laura. Hi, Laura. I'm
Hi,
calling you
Laura.
out. And I love her. She and I have known each other for about like 13 years. And we're not super close, but I respect the hell out of this woman. She
Mhm.
has raised 2 boys. As a single mom, and she dates husband number 2, and they're really good for each other. They're like so good for each other. And she and I actually went to the movie together with husband number 2 and husband number 3. Back when I was with husband number 3, we went to see a movie together. We had a blast, and so I do know her. And he said, that Laura listens, and I was like, "I do." I'm like, "Thank her." And I've said to him several times, if she has any suggestions, please send them our way. Like, we want to know. And he said, "This really isn't her suggestion, it's mine." He's like, "You use a lot of terms that people don't know." And I was like, "We do? Like, what do we say?" And he's like, "Well, like Reiki. Like, what is Reiki?" And I was like, that's not, wow, I didn't realize that wasn't in everybody's
Mhm.
vocabulary. And that's
Mhm.
not like, I'm not trying to be like smart aleck here.
No, no, no,
It's
no.
just because it's as common as butter in my vocabulary.
Mhm.
I just kind of forget that not
Yeah.
everyone is steeped in spirituality like we are. So, Laura, today is dedicated to you, because apparently, she did ask husband number 2 what Reiki is, and he's like, "And I tried and I failed." He's like, "I tried and I failed. So can you just do it?" And then he's like, "And don't say anything." And sorry, husband number 2, I'm going to say something, because I think that this is the example of how you partner.
Yeah.
Husband number 2 said, "This is what my girlfriend needs.
Mhm.
Can you fulfill this for her?"
Mhm.
And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Dude, you are stepping up your relationship game. Nice job.
Yeah.
Yes, we can do that. I am so willing to do that today." So, of course, I call you and I'm like, "Hey, we need to do a glossary day, like a glossary of all the spiritual terms that we use."
Yeah.
So I have about, I don't know, probably 12, 15. Oh, yeah, no, maybe 10, 12. I don't know. It says 15 words, but there's multiple words on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
several things. So here you go, Laura. This is for you, and this is for anyone else that needs to know what the heck we're talking about. You want to know what the
Mhm.
heck we're talking about.
Mhm.
And
Correct.
please, if you hear another word that we use,
Mhm.
email us. Our email is right there. To
Correct.
crones with a mic at gmail.com. Please email us and tell us. So we're going to start with what Bettina is amazing at, and that is Akashic Records.
Oh my god.
What are the Akashic Records, and why, like, let's just do like, why do we
A
do
little bit.
this?
Yeah.
What are
Mhm.
they?
Yeah.
Why do we do this? What can they tell us? And when you're done, we are going
Mhm.
to then let people know that they have a way of um,
Learning it.
learning it. Yes. So
Okay.
hit it. Go for it.
Well, actually, the Akashic Records is something that I do. I'm a reader and I'm also a teacher. So the Akashic Records is, and please, Indira, chime in and let's add things to it so everybody can understand what they are.
I'll do my best, but this really is your jam.
Yeah, it's
I
I
just learned
always
it.
what I tell my clients is when I do readings is I'm usually I usually give it to them in a nutshell, because when I ask I started asking them, because it occurred to me that even if they book a reading with me, they don't always know what they are. They're just intrigued by the name. And it didn't really it took me a while to figure this out.
Mhm.
So when I asked them, "Do you know what the Akashic records are?" And they're like, "Oh, no, I just wanted to come and see you, and it sounds really cool." So usually
I
what I
love
tell
people. I
I
love
know,
people
right?
for that.
I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Thanks for
But
trusting us with your
yeah,
entire life, like, as
exactly.
in existence, your entire life, because that's the Akashic records, right?
So what I tell them is, from the inception of your soul up until this very moment, they are seeing me. There's a record that the soul of that person has ever experienced, or every soul on this planet. It's literally from the inception up until the moment we're talking about it. Every thought, every idea, every experience is stored in the Akashic records. It's literally the universal knowledge of everything. And you can picture it like a humongous library. So your whole existence is a library, and every life you ever had is a book. And we can talk about this forever, but it's really the energetic records of your soul. And when I open up someone's records, I tap into their soul's journey, and I talk to their spirit guides and their masters, teachers, and loved ones. And so it's not mine that I'm talking to, it's theirs. And that's why it occurred to me later that when I always, or every time I say, well, they're telling you this and they mean this, it's like, wait a minute, I need to define who they are. And every time I tell people this is what the Akashic records are, this is what I'm tapping into, I make sure now that I'm adding on. And when I say they, I just want you to know it's your spirit guides or your masters, teachers, and loved ones. So basically, it's the energetic record of your soul. It's the past, it's the present, and it's the future. It's the knowledge of everything.
So when you open the records,
Uh-huh.
do you see? Do you feel? How does that work
Yeah.
for you?
So my most declares, I use declares, right? And so my
Okay,
clair that
let's do the clairs, because some
let's do
people don't
declares.
know the clairs. Yeah,
You're right, you're right. So the clairs is, there's clairvoyance, which is
which
like
is
your
clear seeing.
right, it's your mind's eye.
Mhm.
There is claircognizance, it's
Clear knowing.
knowing.
Mhm. It's
There's
like you know
clear,
something, but you don't
you
know how you
just
know it.
yeah, you
Yeah,
just know, and
yeah,
you can't explain why you know it.
yep.
And then we have clairsentient, which is the feeling. You just
Clear
feel,
feeling. Yep.
yeah,
A
you
lot of
feel sad.
empaths.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
exactly.
empaths tend
Hmm.
to be really high clairsentient.
Yes.
Okay, what else you got?
We got clairaudient.
That's
That's
clear
when you hear
hearing.
things.
Yeah. It's like
And
you
then we have,
literally hear with your ear. Mhm.
exactly. So when you have a ringing in your ears, that's usually a download, or
Mhm.
it's spirits talking to you.
If you
And
wake up with
then,
a song in your
yeah,
head, that's
hmm
clairaudience. Yeah.
correct, correct.
Mhm.
Or some people, they hear their name calling and nobody's around when they turn around.
Yes, I've had that multiple
Yeah.
times. Or you're just about to drift off to sleep and you hear your name and you startle and
Yep.
you're like, "Oh, what is
Exactly.
that?" Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
What
And
else?
then we have two more. I mean, I know of two more that are a little
Mhm.
bit more rare, but that's clear gustance, which is
Mhm.
taste, and then
Yes,
clear salience, which is
which is
smell.
smell.
A
Mhm.
lot of times they come into a room. You just talked about this
Mhm.
earlier when you were sitting on my couch, when you walked into your mom's room and you smelled the
Smelled.
smoke.
Yeah. As my
When
mom
yeah,
yeah. As my
when you
mom was
smell
dying.
smoke or the perfume, and like, oh my God, that's the perfume grandma used to
Yeah.
use. So that's
Some
clear salience.
And then clairgustance is the clear tasting. And somebody once
Mm-hmm.
handed me a watch, just they threw it in my hand. They're like, "Do you get anything from this?" I'm like, walk into my car. Please don't do that, by the way. Don't do that to people. Because I'm walking to my car and she just throws a watch in my hand. And all of a sudden I'm tasting cigar, like as if I
Mm-hmm.
smoked a cigar, which is disgusting, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, they were a cigar smoker. And that happens from time to time. And so
Yeah.
those are the clairs. So we use those to
Mm-hmm.
get messages.
Right.
So what do you
And my
typically use when you're in the records?
my strongest clear is clairvoyance. So I do see things in my mind's eye.
Mhm.
And I'm really, and that's probably why I feel like I'm really good at this. I'm terrible at card reading, by the way. So I can't read the tarot cards to save my life, okay? But maybe that's why I'm so good at the Akashic
Yeah.
Records because that's my strongest clair. I see a lot of things in my mind's eye. And so that's what I love. I just love doing that and I love teaching it. So yeah, so that's what I do.
So you mentioned that you teach it,
Mm-hmm.
and so we are going to let you all know that you can actually get. Is it level one?
No, it's the whole class.
Is okay. So you can get to all the way to master.
Not
Level.
master, no.
Okay,
But it's
level.
what you had. It's like
Okay,
the first
okay.
part about how to read your own records, and then
Mhm.
the second part how to read everybody else's records. So
So you can actually get that on her Patreon page. There it
yeah,
is.
it is.
And so how much is it to go through your Akashic Records training?
So the whole class is $350. So it's the
Mhm,
same for everyone,
mhm,
whether you take it in person or online.
mhm.
However, on the Patreon page, I did break it down into modules. And so in each module has a smaller price, which in the end will come out to the same, but it's financially a little easier to just take one video at the time and then do it that way. So,
So I had seen years ago
mhm.
advertisements for, so remind me, it's Linda Howe.
Linda Ho, yes.
Linda Howe is the kind of the premier Akashic Records person of the North America or the world. Where would you say?
Yeah, yeah, she's pretty up there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I was getting, emails from her at one time and I was like, "Oh, I think I'm supposed to do this." And then my mentor at the time was like, "I don't think so." Like that's how did she say that's marketing, not messaging. It turns
Yeah.
out. And then when you opened the prayer, I'll never forget this. You called me out and it was so hilarious. Um, when we did the opening prayer for me to actually go through and get my Akashic Records reading some 20 almost 15 years later. Um, you go, even though it took her a really long time to understand the message and get here, she's here now. Which was so
Eventually, yeah, they all end up there.
and I'm so willing for people to call me out because it's hilarious, right? I'm a little
Yeah.
bit of a slow learner. And so you did mine a couple months ago. And the reason why I trusted you to do it is because you've opened my records before
Yeah.
multiple times. That's how we met.
Hmm.
And the one thing that sticks with me, I was in a real questionable place. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I don't love what I'm doing in any part of my life right now. And you said to me, I don't know if you remember this, but you said to me, you are going to be creating a community for women.
I do remember.
Yeah. And I was like, "But I don't know how." And you're like, "It'll
Figure it
come to you."
out.
And here we are. We've created this community for women. I
Yeah.
have another one that I'm working on for women who are affected by incarceration,
Hmm.
meaning that they are mothers and wives and sisters and aunties and nieces of family members who are incarcerated because it is a
Yeah.
lonely, hard life. But yeah, I remember that. And then you took me through my training,
Correct.
and I am when first of all, when I go into the records, it
Hmm.
actually shows up as a library for me because I am a literal person. I'm
Hmm.
don't know if I am on the autistic spectrum, but I kind of feel like I am because I'm super literal about things. But I literally see it as a library, but everybody's is very different.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. Very
One of
different.
like one person, it was almost like a fairy library. There were
Hmm.
trees everywhere. Somebody else's was very cold, almost like a spaceship or what you would see on like 2001 A Space Odyssey. And mine was vast, like huge. And then one was like super stark and dark and almost
Yeah.
like an empty hallway, with just files everywhere.
Hmm.
Everybody's is very different.
Yeah.
And I
Very
do have
much
that,
so.
but I also have the clairaudience, so I
Hmm.
can hear them say things. Um, and so the purpose of going into your records is what?
So you can gain a deeper understanding of your soul. So not that I want to poo-poo on any other modality, but for example, the cards. Okay, when I use cards, it kind of scratches the surface, or it's like a quick a quick answer to your question. Okay, so it's like, hey, what about this job, or should I go back to school? It's like, yes, no, sure, yeah, and you have a little bit something to say, which is there are great tarot readers out there. So don't get me wrong, and they can probably go really deep into things. But the Akashic Records is just such a vast knowledge and wisdom. It's uncomparable to anything else out there. And that's my opinion. So I don't want to upset anybody,
I
but
share
that's
the same
just my
opinion.
that's just like the most vast or deepest knowledge you can get for
Mhm.
anything, for
Yeah.
any question that you have.
And that is my opinion as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been a tarot and oracle card reader, which we're going to talk about the difference here
Yes.
in a little bit and
Yes,
what the
yes, yes.
purpose is. I've been one of those since my 20s, like 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go really deep into messaging. But for me, tarot and oracle are kind of this life. I can get a little bit from past lives, but I definitely don't get the depth of
Mm-hmm.
messaging that I get from Akashic Records. Now my husband listens
Correct.
to these, hi babe, and when he's working, he'll
Oh,
sneak
hey,
in
Eric.
and he and I have had many discussions about this, and I he'll admit I got a little frustrated because he's being a little lazy. He was being a little lazy, and he admits this. Like, the tarot is just easier. It's easier. There's not all the setup, and there's not the opening, because there is an opening
Mm-hmm.
statement, kind of like a prayer that
Mm-hmm.
you have to say. And for me, it's easier to go into my records. I mentioned this to you. It's easier for me to go into my records when somebody is there to help guide me, because I'll just
Right.
sit in there like a dang hot tub and Tom Pruny and not get much. I need guidance. I need help. And so, so I get that, like, sometimes going into the records can it's a little bit
It's
deeper
yeah. Yes, yes.
than, but and he kept resorting back to tarot and oracle and all that. And I'm like, babe, you are a trained Akashic Records reader. Act like it, like, do that.
There you have it, Eric.
And like, that is something that I wanted to be. And then I kept
Mm-hmm.
hearing, oh, it's probably not for you. And then it ended up being for me, but for different reasons. And obviously, because that's how I connect to other spiritual beings. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's a whole thing. But
Yeah.
so I I agree with you in,
Okay.
and this is no disrespect to, because we
No,
know
not at
some
all. No.
amazing readers. We do. In our community here in the Midwest, there are amazing tarot readers, amazing oracle card readers. I mean, I have had some hands down profound stuff. And I'm going to say that Akashic Records is different. It gives you
Mm-hmm.
different answers.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you deeper into your soul's purpose, your soul's
Exactly.
journey, your
Exactly.
soul's story. If you want to know, and this was something that you and I got, I'm not ready to do it yet, but one of the things that they wanted me to do was to open every single volume of the 600 some odd, how many ever lives I have lived, or 800 and some, I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know,
Mm-hmm.
and write the stories down. And it was going to be an ocean. It was like my soul's ocean or something like that. And I was like, dang, that's some work, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys want me to do that. I have
Yeah.
a lot of other
It's
things.
just my baby. It's just my thing,
It is, and it's
And
good, and
so
you
yeah.
share it. And so
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you guys, Bettina's an excellent teacher. I've worked with her.
Oh,
I
thank
watched
you.
her. You're welcome. I watched her teach Brian a couple weekends ago. I don't
Yes.
remember if it was last weekend or the weekend before, because all my
Um,
weekends are,
it's all a
squishing together.
blur.
Yeah.
It's
Just
all a
wonder,
blur.
hi, Brian, by the
Hey,
way.
Brian.
Yeah. And so if you are interested, take the first class.
Yeah.
Pay the money, take the first class, and then practice. And I understand. I mean, I kind of understood the opening prayer meditation was to teach us, because you do this easier when you practice meditation. You
Mm-hmm.
can go in easier when you learn to get out of your head and into your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it easier.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share about your Akashic records?
No, but not at the moment though. Not at the
Okay.
moment.
All right.
So
Let's talk about they while we're here, because this is
they.
really they. To me, they is spirit,
Mhm.
but spirit is still something more than I mean, it's to me, it's your angels, your
Mhm.
archangels, your spirit guides. It's like a whole team. They, spirit, it's a whole team. It's not some etheric uh, cloud that I tap
Mhm.
into. It's beings who have lived,
Yes.
beings who have an energy to them. Some of
Right.
them have very strong personalities. Some don't necessarily have strong
Mhm.
personalities.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, they are star seeds or they're benevolent light beings. They're
Mhm.
masters. Tell us about masters, like not ascended masters. You talked about masters of the Akashic records. What are those?
So masters are beings that have never incarnated into a lifetime, okay? But they're here to guide us through, and usually when we meet the masters in our records, or when I open the records and I meet the masters are beings that have never incarnated into a human lifetime, but they're here to guide us through this life, okay? So we kind of made a contract with them that we can connect with them and they will guide us on our journey. And we usually plan lifetimes with them before we incarnate. And so those are the masters.
And just for the record,
Hmm.
to all my masters that are listening right now, everyone's getting drug tested the next time that we decide to come into a life. Everyone, because I feel like you all might have been on some PCP or something when we decided to do this one. Just saying. Am I
Oh,
wrong?
Lordy. Well, I'm sure they're like, yeah, you agreed to it. You said yes.
I'm getting drug tested too.
You
Like
should.
we were not in our right mind. We made it through, but dang.
But
So
we talk about this all the time though. This is what it means to be a light worker.
it
We
is.
take the hardest lives and the hardest lessons.
Yeah.
That's what we do when we come
And
in.
we're nailing it.
Yeah. We're trying, okay?
I have that vision of if you've ever seen like the oh my gosh, the Pinterest, like this is the what it's supposed to look like, and then this is how it actually, nailed it. Like, and my one that always comes back to me is the lamb cake, where they're trying to make like a lamb cake and it's got like one eye up here and one eye. We nailed it. We nailed this life,
Well,
you
at least
know.
we're trying. We don't at least we don't stop. We do
Right.
not give up. We cry, but hey, we're back out there doing our thing the
Kick,
next day.
scream, cry. Absolutely. So when we talk about spirit, we are talking about like all of these beings and we're going to talk about
Mhm.
archangels,
Mhm.
angels, ascended masters here in a little bit, star beings, they're all part of this. It's just this whole team. I call them my divine team.
Yeah.
And you have a divine team. Everyone has a divine
Mhm.
team, whether you're connected to them or not, like whether you feel a connection to them
Exactly.
or not, they're connected to you. It's your choice to connect
Mhm.
to them. So everyone has that. Everyone has an archangel that has been with you since the beginning of your inception. It
Mhm.
also has access to your records. It
Yep.
understands
Yep.
every lifetime. Everyone has other archangels that come in for purposes. So if you are doing, I don't know, if you're needing extra protection for something because you're going through something scary for you, Archangel Michael is
Yeah.
your protector. If you are wanting to go back to school, Archangel Uriel is the archangel of higher education. If you are going through a healing crisis, Archangel
Mhm.
Raphael, and then there's ascended masters. So ascended masters are either deities
Mhm.
or people throughout history who have been alive. And many deities are, especially from like other cultures, tend to um, be modeled after people who actually lived as well. And some were not, but some were. That's why many of them have, like, especially when you look at like Egyptian deities and Hindu deities, they
Mhm.
tend to
Mhm.
have a lot of human qualities to them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so they tend to be modeled after, humans. Um, so we have archangels, we have ascended masters. Angels um, tend to be, they're still an angelic vibration. They still, vibrate at that, but they tend to come in for particular circumstances. And they have more, whether they've incarnated or not, they have more knowledge and information about what it's like to have incarnated. They are
Mhm.
a little bit
Mhm.
closer to our vibration.
Correct. Yes.
Star seeds, star beings, extraterrestrials. That's what I would call them. The ETs. They are beings that have lived on many other planets,
Mhm.
which most of us actually have, according to Ramadir, when we had Christy here.
Yeah.
Um, most of them actually have. Do you have anything you want to add about archangels, ascended masters, angels, star beings, the theys, the spirit, the theys of the world,
So,
the universe, the galaxy? Which is
yeah.
bigger? I don't know.
When we talk about star beings, for me, there's a difference between star seeds and and the star beings. So the star beings is what you described. They've alien beings and they've lived on, different planets, things like that. And
Okay.
a lot of times when I do readings, I have a star seed every once in a while.
What is that
So a
then?
star seed, and when I tell them, do you know what a star seed is? And they're like, no. So what I say is, this is how I define it. Okay. A star seed is your soul was incarnated in a different star system and then reincarnated on planet Earth. So you have lived, maybe it's similar to being a star being. You have lived on different planets and in different star systems, but at this time, you decided to volunteer to come in and be a human. And usually not star beings, but star seeds, they feel like they're out of place on planet Earth. They have a very small community because they don't get along with just anybody. It
Mhm.
has to be certain other star seeds. Okay, usually they have a deeper connection to animals and children.
Maybe
They
even like
feel
Star Trek and Star Wars. They tend to be like our super
exactly.
Trekkies.
That's
Yeah.
a good analogy. That's a
My dad
very good
was
analogy.
super Trekkie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's a good one, yes. And star seeds are usually here to serve humanity. So if you feel like you're a star seed and it resonates with you, then your mission here on this planet in this lifetime is to serve humanity,
Mhm.
to raise our vibration, to raise the vibration of the planet, and to just be of service.
I didn't know that. See, I just learned something, you guys. This is
Oh,
why we're having
okay.
this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to give an example of my divine team, my they. When I say I'm talking
Yeah.
to spirit, my they is this. So first is my Amakua. And so I'm going to in shamanism, your higher self, which is the part of your soul that has remained untouched by any trauma, any drama, any tragedy, right? It's the highest
Mhm.
aspect of you. In shamanism, particularly Hawaiian shamanism, we call it Amakua. So my Amakua is definitely part of my divine team. So that's who I'm consulting to make sure that it's in my best and highest good to do the various things that are before me, including giving a reading to someone. I had an encounter with somebody that I thought was a friend, is not. They wanted a reading, and my Amakua, my first kind of defense is like, no,
Yeah.
you get to choose who you do readings for. That is not in
Exactly.
your best interest.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was like, okay, good to know. Then I have Uriel, who is my archangel, and
Mm.
I promise when I get my classes done, like Bettina's done, she did what we said we were going to do. I failed. I failed that test. She got everything done by May 1st. I did not, and I'm working on it. But life
That's
has thrown
okay.
me
We're
a
all
few
humans. I
curveballs,
mean,
right?
stuff happens all the time,
Life has
it's
thrown some curveballs. So I
it
promise
really
to get it
is.
there. But I'm going to do a whole class on Archangel
Mhm.
Uriel because I'm so familiar with him.
Oh,
He is the
that's so
archangel
cool.
that's been with me since the inception of my soul. And he's very funny. And he's not a he, by the way. He looks like Thor in my head.
A what?
He looks
A
like
Thor?
Thor. He looks like Thor,
Oh,
long golden
interesting.
hair, gorgeous.
Yeah,
Because we get to create what they look like too.
that's true.
um,
And you know what? People always
mhm.
ask me when I say, "Oh, I'm talking to your spirit guides and your angels," like,
What do they look
"What are
like?
their names?" What are their names? Like, I don't know. They don't
Rose,
tell
call
me.
them Rose. I don't know.
Usually, the reason why they don't give me names is this because their names are so spiritual, we would not be able to pronounce them.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't, it makes no difference whatsoever.
And for me, most of the time is the people that come to me
Hmm.
need to learn to talk to their own guides. It's
Exactly.
not for me to
Exactly.
I'm not your interpreter. Like you
Yep.
come to me because
It's
this is
funny.
something you're supposed to learn.
It's funny you said the word interpreter. I was just about to say it's not. I'm not your translator. I'm sure
Right.
spirit is with us right now. Letting them know
Exactly.
this is the work that you need to do if you
This
want to
is your
connect with your
work.
spirit. Yeah.
Yep. And then at any given time, Buddha, Kuan Yin,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is one of mine, and not the religious Jesus, y'all. Mm-mm. No, the table turner,
Mm-hmm.
the one that befriended the prostitutes and the
Mm-hmm.
lepers. That is the Jesus I speak of.
Exactly.
The one that knows our deep connection to each
Mm-hmm.
other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kuan Yin, Buddha, and John Lennon. Those are all ones that are always going to be like front and center for me. They're the ones who they've been. John is John's like the latest one, and he's been with me for 20 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, I got to be. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
If you guys really want to hear the John Lennon story, you'll have to send an email and request it because we're not going to go there today. So, who's your divine team? I know you have, and you say his name way better than any of the rest of it. We call it the Mel guy. Like Eric
Actually, what? What are you talking about?
Mikhail Zadiak or something like that. What's his
Shh.
name? What is that his name?
No, it's not.
Eric and I just call him the Mel guy. I don't
The
know who he is.
Mel guy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll handle this. Okay. Actually, it's the Archangel Melchizedek, and he has a brotherhood. But when I started out, and I really, maybe my team is big, I don't know, but right now I'm really hyper focused on him, or I shouldn't say him. It's just like we kind of portray that archangel as a male energy, but they really have no male or
They're
female.
not
It's just
gendered.
exactly. So when I started out connecting with that energy, he actually gave me his energetic son first, which is like a shorter name, and it was Melzik.
I told
And
you, Mel, the Mel guy, not
that's a
male, Mel,
Mel.
MEL. She's like, I got this. I'm gonna correct her. Sorry, Eric. That's what Eric and I was like. We don't know how to say his name. She can say it
So
perfectly every
so
time.
that's what I heard is Melzik, but that's the shortened version of the father of Melchizedek. And that's kind of my person right now. Well, I shouldn't say person. It's my being right now. When I do a Reiki, and we will talk about Reiki here in a
We
moment,
will.
I usually see Buddha and Jesus. And it's the Jesus that we all know, the man, the way shower.
Yeah, the rebellious
Okay,
one. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So, and that's my divine team. And a lot of times, Archangel Michael is coming in, especially when I do readings. I have a lot of readings. They bring me really people who are going through a healing journey, and they're healing from trauma, childhood trauma, and usually Michael is with me at that moment because he wants them to know that he's with them as well, and he helps them through the tough times.
Mhm.
So I have Michael, I have Melchizedek, I have his son Melzik, and Buddha and Jesus.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's when we say
Mm-hmm.
spirit, that's who we're talking about. When we say they,
Mm-hmm.
that's who we're talking about. Now you brought up when you're doing Reiki sessions. So let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about Reiki because there's levels of Reiki, which I promise to get on my page. I promise to get my
She
Patreon page
will.
done.
I'm going to hold her
Um,
accountable.
she will. She will. She will. We will. Uh,
Mm-hmm. They
so
will.
they will. So Reiki 1 is where you
Mm-hmm.
learn to do hands-on healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really, you're not doing the healing. You are the hollow bone
Correct.
through which the healing goes through.
Mm-hmm.
Through which the healing not goes through, because then I just had a grammatical error. Anyway, and then Reiki 2 is where you learn to do it through distance, through space and time. Reiki 3, I only teach Reiki Master or Reiki 3 with the intention of you teaching. If you choose not to teach, that's your choice.
Mhm.
But to me, it's not financially feasible. It's feasible is not the right word. It's not financially responsible to make somebody go through the master with the intent of not teaching when I can just teach you
Exactly.
to teach, you know, and
Mhm.
then you can attune and teach. And so you go through an attunement process.
Mhm.
And it really, the way that I look at it is we're all kind of plugged into God, that God energy. And I don't mean the Christian God, I mean that spiritual substance that created us, right?
Mhm.
That's the God I'm speaking of. We're all always connected, but we feel disconnected. So what we're doing is we're reconnecting you, your awareness to it, so then that energy can flow through you. And because we do hands on, it's like literally flowing from your heart through your arms, through your hands, and into the person.
Mhm.
And so we attune you, we plug you in. We can do it for 1, 2, and master. I was given permission to do 1 and 2 together. Not all teachers get to do that, but because just like we talked about, you get certain people on your table that need certain things from you. I get
Mhm.
certain people that come to me as a teacher and as a student. I'm the teacher, they're the student, um, that can learn 1 and 2 together.
Mhm.
Um, Not everybody can do that, and
Yeah.
it will not work out if we're not supposed to do that. Like
Mhm.
spirit will block
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
As you are attuned to 1 and 2, you get more people on your divine team. You get more
Mhm.
beings.
Correct.
You get uh, Reiki guides
Mhm.
on your team that
Mhm.
will then work with you in all that you do. So when I was attuned to 2, I didn't know that I could maybe as I'm passing like an accident or something like that, that I could like project Reiki
Mhm.
with my hands to that accident. But I'm driving and I hear send them Reiki. And I'm like, okay. You know, like driving by, I'm like sending Reiki as I'm passing an accident. And now I teach that.
Mhm.
That's part of my education.
Yeah.
Um, so you get guides for 1, you get guides for 2, and then you get more guides for master.
Mhm.
And so you could have 8, 10, depending on what you're going to do with Reiki, you could have up to 12, 15 guides that do that. And I'm going to go back to Akashic Records. When you were training me, I knew immediately that the masters, the guides, what do you masters, guides, loved ones?
Masters, teachers, and loved
Teachers and loved
ones.
ones
Mhm.
automatically became a part of my divine team. The
Mhm.
ones that are in Akashic Records, they're not special in that they only do the Akashic Records. So they
Yeah,
now
no. Mhm.
become a part of
Mhm.
my divine team. And so, as you said,
Mhm.
Melchizedek,
M
what?
M Melchizedek.
Melchizedek, the
Yes.
Mel guy, uh,
Melly.
Melly. I can't even.
Let's call him
He's,
Melly. He's okay with
he's,
it.
he's probably like, somebody shut her up. He's going to turn my mic off. You know, he's going to turn my mic off in a minute.
Something's
Anyway,
going to happen. What?
so anyway, um, I have like my version of that, which is Uriel,
Mhm.
actually.
Mhm.
Um, Everything kind of goes through him, but those guides from the Akashic Records automatically jump on my team.
Mhm.
When I became a Reiki master, I got more guides.
Mhm.
The more students that I've taken 100 people. So cool.
Wow,
Taken
that's so
100
cool.
people through Reiki 1, something like 80 through Reiki 2, and like 60, 65 through master. Um, because I ran a school. That's
Yeah.
why. But I got a few more guides with each time that I taught. I get a couple more that help guide me, teach me. And that's the thing. They come on through circumstances.
Mhm.
If you are unwell, if you're going through grief, if you're going through job changes, if you're moving, you get a few more to support you.
Yeah.
And then when you're stabilized, some of them leave. Some of them are ascended masters, some of them are angels, some of them are archangels. They just come and go. And then you also have deceased loved ones.
Mhm.
And I remember I went to a medium who specializes in deceased loved ones, and she said, "Your family is very concerned about you. They're going to be praying for you." And I was like, "Thanks. Who's heading that?" She's like, "Your mom." She goes, "Wait, there's a police officer here named Dave?" And I was like, "Well, there's 2. There's my brother, and then there was the father of my son. Which one is it?" And she's like, "The father of your son." And he's like, "She's being a drama queen. We're not praying for her. Just tell her to put on her big girl britches and move along." I was like, "Dude, no. This is why I don't trust deceased people anymore."
You can't trust the living either. So it's like, pick your battle, okay?
Didn't trust them when they were alive. Please don't trust them when they are on the other side. And so anyway, but yeah, they even our loved ones can pop in when we are having
Mhm.
really hard times.
Yeah.
So that's the they that we speak of, and that's the spirit. It's kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
So Reiki is, I think we got here. It is a It actually started, as far as I know, in Tibet, but even Jesus was doing it, and it's literally hands-on healing.
It's an energetic, you
The
use
transfer.
energy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an energy transfer, and you use your hands to, I mean, that's how I started out. You
Mhm,
use your hands to transfer the energy. So
mhm.
with Reiki 1, there's certain placements that you learn. Okay. And there's also certain symbols that you learn that you're not really supposed to talk about unless you're
They're
going
all
through
over
the,
the internet.
I know. I
It's
know.
ridiculous.
Um,
Yeah. So
and
much
then
for
when you
holding them
go,
sacred,
I
right?
know, right? And then Reiki 2
Oh,
is when you actually, I can't remember, but it's really like it's distant Reiki as well.
mhm,
And yeah, yeah.
mhm,
And there's different symbols that come with
mhm.
Reiki 2 and yeah,
And I
things like
do
that.
Usui Ryoho Reiki,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it is hands-on healing,
Mm-hmm.
but, when you go through Reiki too, if you don't want to work with people one-on-one, you can send it to the whole world. You can Reiki your
Yes.
food. You can, one of the things that my master taught me, you can check out books from the library and Reiki the books.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you give them back, and then everyone is blessed by them. When I take you through your Reiki 1, I will do a meditation with you that Reiki is always flowing through you, and anyone who comes within 6 feet of you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
gets a little bit of a Reiki treatment,
Yeah.
which was really unfortunate during COVID because we had to stay exactly 6 feet apart. And I had always done the meditation at 6 feet. And I was like, ain't nobody getting Reiki from anybody more
No,
COVID.
no,
But
no.
it is, yeah, it plugs you in to that universal consciousness. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
religion. It does no harm. I will teach you all of that. It does absolutely no harm. But it is a way to do hands-on healing. You can do healing through space and time, which is part of that distance. You can do Reiki. Like I have friends that are in Washington, DC.
You
I
just
said,
you cut out, you did cut out.
he's mad at me.
You did cut out a little bit. And didn't we just say he's mad at you?
He's mad at
He's
me.
like,
I'm
I'm going to
sorry.
show her.
I'm sorry.
We knew it.
I'm
We knew it.
sorry.
That's okay. We
So
knew it was
anyway,
going to
yeah,
happen, right?
we knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Reiki. It is a version of hands-on energy healing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we covered a lot. Let's talk about the difference between tarot and oracle.
Okay.
Do you wanna start?
So what I
The
consider tarot is like the original what is it called?
Rider Waite. Rider Waite.
Rider Waite tarot. And I should have probably pulled my cards and I don't have them with me right now, but
Same.
that's kind of like it's the mother of all tarot. Okay, that's kind of
That's a good
how
way to
I
say it.
see it.
Mhm.
So when you master that one, I mean, you're really good. I mean, there's a lot to remember, a lot to learn. Those tarot cards have so many different meanings. Whether I mean, they have a different meaning where they're placed. They have a different meaning when they're next to a different card. It's just there's so much to know about tarot, and that's what I consider. So in every tarot deck that you're getting, there's always the same cards. They just look different. So when you get like a crow tarot like you have, you
Mhm.
still have the Four of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles and all of that, and the major arcana. It's just like you have different pictures, but the cards are the same.
Mhm.
And then what I oracle cards is usually what we use on Friday messages.
Yes.
It's like, the Kyle Gray thing. Exact, there it is. Those are tarot cards because they don't have
These are oracle cards.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
thank you. These are oracle cards because they don't have the sections. They don't have the major arcana,
The minor,
the
yeah.
minor. See, I don't
Mhm.
even know a
Yeah.
whole lot about the minor arcana, and then like the I don't know what you call all these, but see, I can't read the cards to save my life, but I just know there's a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of what I consider the
That's a
difference.
really good introduction. So I'll take it a
Okay,
little bit
yeah,
deeper.
please.
So, the best person, we probably need to have her on the podcast at some point, was my co-teacher for a couple of years, Alex. So Alexandria, um, she read several books, and there's several books that you can read that will take you through. So it starts with the major arcana, which is starts with the zero card, which is the fool, and it goes to like I think it's the 21 card, which
Mm-hmm.
is the world, and it's the story of the fool's journey.
Oh.
And so the zero card is like you're getting ready to start a whole new chapter of your life.
Mm.
And then each of the major arcana reflect and represent an aspect of the journey all the way to the world card, which is you've now come to the end of this journey. You're getting ready to start another one. But as you said, there are it also depends on the placements of all the cards. And then there's the four major arcana or the four minor arcana,
Mm-hmm.
which take you from a two card all the way to like a king or a queen. And depending on what you're looking at, how they are, the Rider Waite, I think the king is
Mm-hmm.
going to be the highest card in your minor.
Mm-hmm.
And each of the numbers represent something based on numerology, and each of the court cards represent something. So if you have a pages do announcements. So you're going to get an announcement about something.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a king, you're going to have like that masculine energy around it, even though you may be feminine. The entire thing is feminine. You think about like the masculine energy of like the pentacles. So the
Mm-hmm.
pentacle, the masculine, so pentacles is your money, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
also an earth
Mm-hmm.
energy, so it moves very, very slowly. I listen to readers constantly. I never read the book that Alex told me to read. I never did, but I have it on a list somewhere, and we can try to get that to people if you want to know. If you want to know, you have to email us. I can give you those. So there's Pentacles, which is Earth energy, often connected with Virgo, Taurus. I think it's Capricorn, but I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember what the other Earth energy is. And then there is Wands, which I believe is air. That's air energy. So it moves very, very quickly. Tends to be a lot around your emotions. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's swords, which I believe is fire energy. Oh, wait, cups is emotions. I'm sorry, cups is emotions. And that's a water energy. Then one is I still think swords is fire, but I'm going to confuse everybody if I can do this. Anyway, you got cups, you got
Please.
swords, you got wands,
This
and you
just
got
shows.
pentacles. And this just shows you how little we do. I
Do
am a
so
it's so
little.
sad, right? I do know cups is emotions. I do know pentacles is that's your money, and it's an earth energy, and goes really really slow. And then
Yeah.
there's swords. We really need to have Alex on to
For
talk about
yeah,
this.
and so sorry for everybody. I mean, you did a good job explaining, but I'm sure when I
It's
explained it,
so
they're all
babbling.
cringing out there.
Oh,
So
no, they're not.
everybody, my apologies to every
No, they're
tarot
not.
reader.
No, they're not. They're not.
I'm not a card reader, and
Yeah,
but I
and
know that there are really good ones out there.
there are. And,
Hmm.
and it is important if you're going to read the cards
Yeah.
to be highly trained. It is.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
like you said, an oracles tend to have a lot of the similar messages depending on what the topic is.
Hmm.
Kyle Gray's cards, he has some new energies in his. He's like the one that he has around the light, one of the light oracle cards. That's a lot
Hmm.
of like that ET energy. There's a lot of star being energies in that. There's a lot of And it's so cool. The one that I have here is Angels and Ancestors. It has a lot more like Native
That's a good deck.
American feel.
Yeah.
It is.
Mhm.
It's got some Native American stuff. So depending on what you're drawn to, your oracle cards would be around that.
Mhm.
There's one that I've used a lot, which is the Rose Oracle. Every single card has to do with an aspect of the beginning or the growth phase or the death of a rose. And so it's like the seeds, it's the petals, like all of it. It takes all the way through.
Hmm.
There's some around water, and there's uh, it's everything. If you are a person of color, there are oracle cards devoted to people of color and aspects of various parts of the world. There's African goddess ones. So there's some representation. There's not
Mhm.
enough representation for people of color in Oracle, but if you're going to choose to do Oracle, it's a good introduction to reading
Yeah.
cards. First of all,
Mhm. Mhm.
second, always go with what your heart is telling you to go with.
Exactly.
Don't get something because somebody said get it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Get
No,
it
you need
because
to. Yeah.
you're drawn to it. I
Yeah.
have I have some are really complicated. I have Rumi cards that it takes 15 minutes to read the message.
Whoa.
I couldn't begin to tell you what the message is about because I can't get through the message without falling asleep. It is a long read. It's longer than like a bathroom trip, right? It's a long read
Yeah.
just to get through the doggone message. And then it's so convoluted, I don't even get it. And
Mhm.
but I also have some that I will tell you this with my oracle cards, I have some that are very specific to people. My mother loved butterflies. I have a butterfly deck. And I know that if I need advice from my mother, I can pull that
Mhm.
deck of cards and she will work with me. I have another deck that is devoted only to Archangel Uriel.
Oh, that's so cool.
This is how you talk to me, man. If I need to
Mhm.
get that, that's how you talk to me. Um, and so you can do that. You can devote decks of cards to different beings that you work with, including loved ones. You can,
I didn't
you,
even know that. See, I learned
yeah.
something too today.
So yeah, so if you've got decks of cards, and I got
Mhm.
decks of cards for days, like days
Yeah.
and days. I probably have 60 decks. And I
Really?
yeah, and I have like 30 in my wish list in Hay House. If anybody would like that, I can connect you to my wish list. Um so send me some more because clearly 60 is not enough. And I also have some that are very specific for homework. So if I am working with a particular type of client and they need to go back and practice something, I have some that are devoted completely to their homework. Got 2 decks that I do that with.
Wow.
So your oracle cards, I mean, they just run the gamut.
Mhm.
Anything else you wanna say about tarot or oracle other than we're really sorry to all
I
the
don't
tarot
think I'm
readers
qualified to do
for
that. We need to have somebody on here that really, really can define it. And
Yeah, we've got some people in our minds. I know we already do.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
All right,
I did the
medium.
best I could.
Yeah, same, same. I screwed it up too. Mediumship. For me, mediumship is anytime you are speaking to a being that doesn't have a physical body. A
Oh,
lot of people attribute it to only speaking to deceased loved ones.
that's what I thought it was.
But there are mediums that work only in the angel and ascended master realm,
I
and they're
didn't know
considered a
that.
medium. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I would be considered a medium because I
Mhm.
really only prefer to work with angels and ascended masters. I do have the occasional deceased person that breaks through somehow, some
Mhm.
way through all of my walls and all of my things. I still get a dead person every now and then, and I mean no disrespect when I say that. Um, and as long as they're not jerks, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I tend to get a lot of tricksters. But yeah, mediumship is when you connect to somebody who's no longer in physical form
Interesting.
in some way.
Because I have friends that are mediums, and when I see them at fairs or events, And sometimes I overhear what they say. They're like, when I talk to clients, they're like, yeah, I'm a medium. I talk to dead people. And I'm always thinking, why would they have to explain that? Isn't that normal that a medium talks to a dead person?
People
So
don't know what
maybe
that
now
means.
I know. Now I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So, and
Wow.
then I'm looking at our list. I think that we were going to talk about prosperity and lack consciousness because we do talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a unity term. I think it's a new thought term. I learned about it in Unity.
What is lack consciousness? I guess
Yeah,
would it be that when you always fear of not having enough?
it can be fear of not having enough based on the experience of the
Oh.
perception of not having enough. So I'll give an example of lack consciousness
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that my mother, God rest her, had, and I to this day am still struggling through. Um, my mom was borderline hoarding, even when hoarding wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it started with our refrigerator and our cabinets. I don't know that my mother ever actually lacked food, but I think she had the fear of lacking food.
Mm-hmm.
And so our fridge was full, top to bottom, front to back. You couldn't see the back of the refrigerator. There
Wow.
was all kinds of stuff in our fridge. And we would about once a month have to go through the big massive clean out. But as soon as she could see the back of the fridge, she had to buy something to put in the place of it.
Wow.
Same with our freezer, and we had a full size deep freeze, like a top to bottom, like the same size as the fridge. As soon as she could see the back, we had to put more stuff in there. Same with our cabinets. We had this whole huge walk-in pantry, full front to back of food. And as soon as there was a hole, it had to be filled. That is a lack consciousness. My mother feared that we would never have enough food. We did not. I didn't miss a meal. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. Clearly, I'm still 100 pounds overweight. My mother never missed a meal. My mother was morbidly obese her entire life.
Yeah.
But it's that fear. And there is, and if I struggle with it
Mm-hmm.
every day, like trying not to store food, hide food from people because I'm afraid that it's not going to be there when I want it. Yeah,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
it's that thing. That's lack consciousness. And you do it with money. We'll
I
do it a
was
lot
just
with
going to,
money too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say it's not just food. It's like everything that you're afraid of losing, right? Or
Mhm.
afraid of not having enough.
Yes.
I guess it depends on how you grew up or what your experiences are in
Yeah.
life.
And when I think about, there's a meme that goes around that says if a squirrel or a mouse hoarded all of the nuts or the cheese or whatever, we would question its mental health. Like
Yeah.
what's going on with it? But when humans do it, when they hoard the wealth, we call them billionaires and we celebrate them.
Good one. Good one.
And that's really what they're doing because they
Mm-hmm.
have probably been in lack. So prosperity consciousness then in opposition of lack consciousness says, I know that the universe is conspiring to
Mm-hmm.
support me. I know that I am in the cycle and the circle of abundance. And I know that all of my needs will always be met. That's prosperity consciousness.
Hmm.
And we also know, like, so I'm going through the process of God cleaning out like a storage unit right now.
Yeah.
And I have donated a lot of stuff and it makes me sad because I have memories of those things. Like I donated all my Christmas stuff because I don't know where I'm going to land. I don't know if I'm going to have to put a trailer on the back of my car and move to another state right now. I'm
Hmm.
negotiating some stuff. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing, keep letting it go. Keep letting it go. I have a piece of furniture that's my favorite piece of furniture. I worked so hard to get it. And I heard the other day, you need to sell it. It doesn't have good energy around it. I got it with
Oh.
husband number 3. You need to smudge it and you need to sell it to someone else and you need to start over. And what that is actually doing is it's putting me back into the cycle of prosperity. As I put valuable things into the cycle of prosperity, valuable things come back to me.
Yep. I
And
agree.
so rather than holding on to KU Christmas ornaments that I literally had with husband number 2.
Wow.
Shout out to him again, because he was a huge KU fan, made me a huge KU fan. I put them back into the cycle of course, I put them into the cycle of abundance in
Mhm.
MU territory. But but for those of you who are college fans, you understand what that looks like. But yeah, that's so I'm releasing absolutely everything that I can. I did tell Spirit I refuse to let go of some of my mom's dishes, like bowls that my mom and my grandma used,
Yeah.
to
Well,
stir
that's
stuff.
very
No, I'm not,
personal.
I'm not, yeah. So, but I've released a lot. And that is, and I'm trusting the prosperity consciousness of that because I've lived
Mhm.
in lack consciousness for far too long.
Yeah. It's hard to get out. It's hard to
It
get out of
is.
that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And trusting that spirit has your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
then go ahead.
go ahead.
And do you have
No,
anything
no,
else
go
on
ahead.
the
Nope.
prosperity lack
Mm-mm.
consciousness?
No,
So
no.
the very last thing on our list, and then we're going to end this because this is an hour long, is I often talk about EMDR, and I've had several people ask what EMDR really is. So EMDR is eye movement disruption reprocessing. Eye movement disruption reprocessing. And it's a form of therapy that psychologists and therapists have been learning. I am very blessed to have a very talented EMDR person who is a therapist. And if there were a magic pill in therapy, this would be it for me. And what it does is, in my case, I close my eyes and I'm holding these tiny little paddles that emit a vibration, and they emit it back and forth, and it's usually pretty slow. And as I take myself into a past memory, and this time I'm not going into the memory, like reliving it, but instead I'm like on a train and I'm just passing by it. I am just checking in with what is happening and how I'm feeling about it. And I check in with my physical body and see where it could be stored. And those buzzies, that's what we call them, are the buzzies. As they buzz, my eyes automatically, even though my eyes are closed, she can see which direction my eyes are moving. When you can
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And as I'm reprocessing, as I'm doing that, we are creating a new emotion around it to where I am no longer reliving the trauma that happened to me. And it creates, so that's what's bringing me out of lack consciousness. That's what's bringing me out of fight or flight or freeze or fawn.
Mhm.
And so it is a form of therapy that is proven over and over and over again to not get rid of the memory, but to keep your body from reliving it. And it does it through eye movement.
Wow.
And to me, I swear, if there were a magic pill, that is the magic pill. And I don't believe in magic pills.
Yeah.
I believe in good, honest, hard work. I'm a farm girl from the Midwest, and so I believe in good, honest, hard work. But this is it's
It's a good
profound.
thing.
It is. And
Yeah.
so if you've experienced a lot of trauma, or even a little trauma, even if you don't remember the trauma, but you recognize that
Yeah.
you are exhibiting symptoms of trauma, um, I highly recommend finding a trained therapist in EMDR, eye movement disruption reprocessing. It reprocesses, and what we call it rewires your brain around that. So you're no longer reliving the trauma, and you're no longer reliving the coping skills that the trauma caused.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I read somewhere that it had really good success with PTSD in soldiers.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it does. Very good with PTSD in soldiers. And I can't even tell you guys all the diagnoses I had.
Mhm.
CPTSD was one of them, complex post traumatic stress disorder.
Mhm.
Um, absolutely was diagnosed with that. And it helps with anxiety and depression. You can go in and you can rewire your brain for the future. So, when you begin to experience a depressive episode, you can rewire your brain to acknowledge, okay, I'm about to go into a depressive episode. What are the things I can do to potentially make it less disruptive to my life.
Mhm.
And your
Yeah.
brain will start to take you through it. And the brain reprocessing takes 15 minutes is what I have read. I will tell you though that after some of my bigger traumatic things that I've reprocessed, my body needs more time because my nervous system, whether it's my parasympathetic, my sympathetic, my central nervous system, whatever, any of them, they need time to rest and reset after that.
Yeah, I bet.
So I typically do it on Friday morning. I take the entire day Friday to rest and to and allow my brain to feel like scrambled eggs. And Saturday, I'm still a little gentle with myself, but I'm very capable of still functioning. Same with Sunday. And usually by Monday or Tuesday, I'm really, really solid again.
Good.
Yeah. So I wanted to share that with everybody. All
Wonderful.
right. So here's what I'm gonna request of everyone. If you have not heard us tell you what a word means that you've heard us say multiple times,
Mhm.
please reach out.
Yep.
Please
Please
email
do.
us. Tell
Please
us
do.
what you mentioned this. What the heck is that?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and huge shout out to husband number 2 for encouraging us to do this. Like, good job, Laura.
Well, I
You can
don't
tell
know
him
him,
he's
but
good at
thanks.
exactly. Laura, if you made it this far into it, please give him an enthusiastic high five from us.
All right.
And really appreciate you listening. And
We do.
yeah, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave some comments. Leave some
Yeah.
comments if you
Yep.
can.
Yep.
Like,
Please do.
we, be nice, but leave some comments. I don't
All
think my
right.
fragile ego could handle anything horrible.
All right, guys. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Bye bye.